Hey everybody, this is Elise from Camp ASCCA, and you're listening to Camp ASCCA, the podcast, the show that dives into all things ASCCA and the people that make camp the incredible place it is. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media to stay up to date with what's happening here at camp. That's at Camp ASCCA, CAMPASCCA. Hey everybody, welcome back to Camp ASCCA, the podcast. Today I'm here with some special guests. I'm here with Dana, John, Dr. Glenn Roswal, and Dr. Greg Frith. Hey everybody, how are y'all?
Good.
So you're two of our favorite doctors that help with Camp ASCCA. Tell me a little bit about who you are and where y'all met.
Okay, Glenn, do you want to answer this?
Sure. Greg and I have been friends for, I guess, about 40 years now. We originally met when I got a job at Jacksonville State University. Greg was chairman of the Department of Special Education, and I was teaching courses in his department. That was 1978 when we started that.
Oh, wow. So you both have your PhDs, and how long did you work at, did you say JSU?
Yeah,
Jacksonville
JSU.
State.
Mm-hmm.
How long did y'all work there?
I was there 26 years. I don't know how many you had.
I was there 33 years.
Okay. And Glenn, you retired from being a professor, and Dr. Frith, you did too, but you went on to do other things. Not saying, Glenn, you didn't do other things, but Dr. Frith kind of started a new career with his wife.
Well, I did, and went back to school. Never thought I'd do that in my 50s, I guess it was. But anyway, I went to the American College in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and picked up 6 graduate degrees. I don't know if you do this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's part of the Wharton School of Business from the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's a very good place to get financial degrees, and that's where I went. And so that's one of the things that led me to working with Camp ASCCA. I enjoy doing charitable work and been very blessed in lots of ways.
Dr. Roswell, what are you doing now?
Well, I'm retiring, and I guess most of the time I'm working for you guys at Camp ASCCA.
Dr. Roswell, you're now our current board chair.
That is correct.
Yes. So
This
tell
is
me about...
this is my second go around.
That's right.
As board
when
chair.
I started at camp back in '99, you were like finishing up your first term as board chair, 20-something years ago. And so you're
Thank you,
still
Dana, for
involved.
reminding everybody about that.
Well, I've gotten older too. But we appreciate your lifelong commitment and also introducing people to Camp ASCCA like Dr. Frith.
Well, actually, I was involved with Camp ASCCA before Dr. Oswald got involved.
Okay.
Many years ago, when I first came to Jacksonville State in the early 1970s, I began to send interns down here. Some of them y'all hired permanently, like Dorothy Collier, that fell in love with the place, and I just kept sending interns. And Glenn and I have talked about it many, many times. We both love the place, and he's more involved with hands-on. I was more involved with distance, but we both were very active in doing what we could to support Camp ASCCA and help it in all the ways that we could. Which leads us to why we're here today to talk about the things we'd like to do for the camp. Glenn, he likes to build. He'll tell me he need a camp house out here somewhere. He'll be out there putting the boards in place. But anyway, I had some life insurance policies, and I thought it might be good to give those to the camp. The reason that it's good to do that, I didn't have any heirs, no children, and if it gave the policies to the camp, which is a 501c3 organization, it could pay the premiums, and I could take a tax deduction for the premiums, which was a big advantage tax-wise. So anyway, I started giving a couple policies to the camp, and I tried to get more, but I couldn't get any more. I had a heart surgery 15 years ago, and I couldn't get insurance anymore. So I began to think, how can I get around this? And the way I did it was I bought a life of one of my workers' assistants, Angie Hill. She's 50 years old, so I borrowed her life, took out $1 million policy on her life, and gave it to the camp. And I pay the premiums, but the camp had to wait a little longer maybe to get their money if she doesn't die before I do.
Well, I think we can wait.
We can wait, but anyway, that'll be a very lucrative policy for the camp. She doesn't care. She has no involvement. She pays for none of it. All we're doing is using her life, which is a lot cheaper insurance. But
Why don't you tell us a little bit about when I came to you and I asked, how do I do this? Take our listeners to the steps that you told me about how I can go ahead and gift a life insurance policy to camp.
Yeah, when you take out life insurance, usually you're the owner. But what we try to do as soon as possible, get the policy over to the camp and let the camp own it. And then we give them premiums to the camp as contributions, donations. But it's tax deductible to us at that point, whereas before when we paid the premiums, it was just an expense to us. But down the road somewhere, it'll amount to a lot of money for the camp. And we're both happy to help. It's a good thing for us to do with some of our charitable interest.
I took out my policy when I guess I was in my 50s.
Yeah.
And easy to figure out that even if I was to live to when life insurance declares you dead at 99, that my contribution would have doubled over what I could have actually given. And as anybody in investment knows, life insurance is the only policies where you can give an investment tax-free.
Yeah, the death benefit on life insurance is tax-free. And so we were able to build up quite a large equity of money for the camp that they don't get until we die, so they don't have anything yet except, I guess I probably paid, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, I don't know exactly. But all that's been going into the policies, and the camp's got the money, it's in the policies. So one day they'll get the bigger thing when I die, but in the meantime, I got a little bit of money that's sitting there in the policies.
I believe we have board members and donors who have done this, that have a life insurance policies that have been given to camp. It's not a hard thing to do. Anybody who's committed to the vision of Camp ASCCA, which is a lot of people over the years, this is something that is relatively inexpensive for the amount of contribution that can go to camp.
Yeah, it makes us feel good too to help the camp. We know down the road it'll help more than it does now, but we try to help some now and then help some later. But one day, sooner or later, it'll be worth a lot of money to the camp. And the camp needs endowments. Any large university like Harvard or Yale, they'll all tell you that it's their endowments that keep them going when time gets rough later on. So I don't know when it'll happen, but we certainly will die. Your chances of dying is 1 out of 1. We know that day will come when we'll pass on.
Well, you both certainly have made investments in Camp ASCCA currently and for our future, like you've been talking about in the policies, but y'all have both given to capital projects, the endowment obviously, and then this vehicle of life insurance. Let our listeners, well, I should back up and say Greg Frith is retired, but so he's kind of speaking as a neutral party today, advising us just of contributors to Camp ASCCA on what we can do. So I did want to say they're also giving in other ways currently, but also preparing us for our future.
Well, we love Camp ASCCA, and anybody that's ever been around this place falls in love with it, and it's hard not to. And well, not only do we love the kids and stuff, but we love the staff. We love working with y'all. It's a great joy to see you all grow as professionals and watch what you do here and see how you contribute in your own way. We're proud of all of you. Proud to be a part of it.
So that probably speaks to when choosing a charity to give to, you have to have emotion and participation in that, don't you think? Or let us know how.
I think that's always a good place to start, but as any organization knows, you get surprises from time to time where people give you a legacy gift that maybe you didn't even know that they knew about us, but they knew someone who said to someone, you know, if you're thinking of making a gift to an organization that will really use the money wisely, this is the place to go to. You know, there's in fundraising, there's 2 ways to look at fundraising. You can go to people and say, if you don't give me money, I'm going to have to close my doors. Or you can say, I would like to invite you to join our program. We are going to be here for a long time, whether we get your contribution or not. Greg and I will tell you as donors, we would much rather give our money to an organization that's going to be here forever and ever than one that might close next year because there's not enough money to do that there. Camp ASCCA is in that position where we feel like the future, primarily due to our donors, and Greg it will be our largest donor with his estate. Because of gifts like that, we'll be around for a very long time to be serving people within and outside of Alabama with disabilities.
You know, I work with a lot of people in a lot of capacities, and many of them have children and families and whatever. And you'd think they'd want to leave their estate to their children, but not all of them do. Many people are looking for a place to put some of their assets when they die. And they don't always think their children are the best place to put it. Kids only need so much. I heard of Bill Gates talking about it. The worst thing he can do is give all his assets to his children. It ruins them. People are better off having to make it on their own sometimes than have something given to them. Mm. And I just think it's good to give some seed money to the camp and let you all do what you want to with it. But
I have two close friends. One lives in New Jersey, one lives in Vermont, who are big-time sponsors of Camp ASCCA programs. So that that reaching out can go a long ways. It is always a good place to start, to have an emotional attachment. People like Greg and I are always going to be easy to reach out to be donors. But we also have friends who will say, hey, what are you doing down there? That sounds like a really, really neat place for me to be invested in as well.
I wish we'd get more of our friends to come down here and spend a weekend or a day and look at the place and see what's going on, especially when the kids are here. They don't realize all the many, many contributions we make. We watch St. Jude commercials, which do a great job on television. Right. But our kids here are the same way. If they were to make commercials, they'd be winning people's hearts, right, going and coming. It's good to see the warmth and the excitement and the appreciation in kids in their lives. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you all give us an opportunity to contribute and take part and do what we can to help.
Well, we definitely try to be good stewards of your money and everybody's money, and I hope we do a good job of showing you that we're doing what we're supposed to. And I think our 45-year history is hopefully prove that to everybody, that we continue. We really appreciate y'all reaching out to your friends as well in different parts of the country, because serving people with disabilities in the camping and recreation business is very important to a lot of people. You can't age out of our programs, and so we're thankful for y'all to be a part of our future.
We're getting older too. We're just thankful somebody cares what we do and what we can contribute.
Dana, there's a whole bunch of our board members who also have their families involved in camp as well. Several of the board members I'm aware of they've had campers here. They have had staff members here. Mm-hmm. My son got the formative part of his learning how to talk to people as a camp counselor. My granddaughter now is going through the same thing. I know I can think of at least a half a dozen other board members that if they were sitting here that would be saying that. Yeah. So we this program provides many services beyond the direct services that are being provided to people with disabilities.
Yeah. So I encourage anybody, if you're looking to give to a charity or Camp ASCCA, that to visit, really get to know what we're doing here. We have another board member whose daughter worked here, and he was interested in Camp ASCCA, but he really researched it to make sure we were doing what we say we're going to do. And he's become really involved, personally, financially, and getting other people involved too. So it really works what you're doing.
At least you're only 3 or 4 years into Camp ASCCA, but there's a deep legacy here and lots of people involved, and there's roots. Mm-hmm. And you'll gain appreciation for that as you meet people that have a hand in it.
Absolutely. I feel like with just the few years that I've been here, I have such an appreciation for everything that people in the past have done, because that has given me the opportunity to be here as well.
Well, it's a real joy to be around these people that give their lives to this place.
It is.
Greg and I have been talking, so maybe I'll just ask Greg if you can give us a little idea of what other sort of legacy gifts can be given to camp for people who have a little bit of money when they're in their retirement ages.
Some people use trust, which I have mixed feelings about it, because sometimes they're incredibly useful, and other times they're a pain to deal with all the details of a trust. A trust is nothing more than a paper person that carries on your wishes after you're gone. But you can also set them up while you're living if you want to. Mm-hmm. But you have conditions in trust. The kids must do this or they must do that, and sometimes they get to be too cumbersome, not worth it. It's just better to give the money directly to the camp and let y'all do what you need to do with the money. You have immediate needs, things you need to do today, and then you have things you want to look at for next year and the year after. And the cabins you're building now, you need some money for paying those things off as you go. And but the trust can be very useful in giving legacy gifts to a camp. Life insurance is one of the best ways because it's tax-free later on to the camp. and it makes our contributions tax deductible, which is a real good thing. There are many ways to give time and effort, energy of ourselves. I just love giving to camp any way I can. If you think of a way I can help, let me know and I'll help. And Ben always giving me ideas on things to do, and he's a great idea man. He got a million things that he wants me to do. I'm always happy to help. I'm happy to pitch in.
You know, at least one of the things that I think Camp ASCCA has done extraordinarily well over the years is naming things after donors. Now, I know that on the surface that sounds like, oh, that's a silly thing, but that's the way you keep a donor involved. Somebody has their name on a plaque or a building, and then they bring down a friend or something, and they say, "Look, my name's here." That gives you an incentive to want to do it again.
Yeah. It shows a little bit of appreciation.
Yeah, it makes you give us a piece of your program. Probably one of the highlights in my life was when my now 18-year-old granddaughter, when she was 15 then, says to me, "Papa, is that your name on that building?" And I think for the first time I had some credibility with it. But that is the link that does that, and more than any other place that I've been associated, Camp ASCCA does that well. So for all the legacy gifts that we can think about, this is a payback to your donors to make them a part of your program. Is we're going to make you a part. We're going to put your name on a building or your name on a plaque or something like that. And when you walk around the campgrounds, it's almost dizzying how many names you see, and you'll find your donors will be saying to their friends and stuff, "There's my name on that brick there."
All right, we definitely found in the past, some people are hesitant to do that, but we encourage them to do it, Greg, because it also encourages other people to get involved, because many of the times it doesn't take that much, a little planning. And
I remember coming down here, I don't remember what the event was, but the man who built Glenn's son's home up in North Alabama, construction man, what's his name, Glenn?
Donald Perkins.
Donald Perkins. I didn't know he wasn't a friend of mine, but Donald Perkins had his name on something. He had been down at the lake, I think it was.
The LPR zip line.
Yeah, the zip line. And he was showing me his name on this thing. And he had tears in his eyes. He was so proud.
Oh, wow.
First major contribution that he made. And
Wow.
the story on that is he was building a house for my son. We became good friends. And at the end, he said, "I'm not going to charge you for the last stuff we've been doing." And I said, "That was not in our contract." And I gave him a check, and he said, "I'm not accepting it." And I said, "Well, if you're not accepting it, you're making a donation to Camp ASCCA." And I think he thought I was joking. And so he came down here for the dedication, and he saw his name up there. And it really, he brought his whole family. The whole family now is, they've made small contributions. And the tentacles just, when you build ownership with a donor, the donor feels like they want other people to be involved, and that they're proud of what they've done. They want their friends to be proud of it to do it as well.
And it often starts small, and it grows, and it's a good thing, and to watch it evolve in people's lives. John, we appreciate y'all giving us the opportunity to be involved in the camp.
Love having y'all.
We're just running it for you. There's a lot of people that make it happen. And so
There are a lot of people involved.
In the 90s, I had the privilege with John and some of the previous directors that were here, Jerry and Tom. They took me to a whole bunch of the other camps around the country. At one point, there were every state in the nation had an Easter SEAL type camp. I think we're down to 5, 6, 7 at this point here. But I got to see a lot of these other. I think there was some motive behind that, because I came back and told everybody there is no question as to who the flagship camp is. I mean, other camps were, when we would go there, they would sit down with John and Jerry and Tom, and they would ask them questions as to how do you do this? How can we do this? How can these programs be funded and stuff like that? So you are the flagship program. Should be very proud of that. We have always been very proud of our staff. It is the best staff of any camp in the country. Our biggest problem is keeping staff, because many of our staff end up being directors at other camps
I was about
around
to
the
say,
country.
we've had several full-time staff and summer staff members that went on to other camps, and some of them come back. But I think it's real helpful that our history is so strong and the way we do things and treat people.
Well, as you think of things that you need, let us know and we'll find a way to get it for you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Roswal, and thank you, Dr. Frith, for joining us today. I'm sure our listeners will enjoy hearing this episode. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
What's happening at ASCCA? This is the part of the show where we are going to talk about everything that's happening right here at Camp ASCCA.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Rickman, the camp director here at Camp ASCCA. Welcome to the Camp ASCCA podcast. Very excited. We got a lot going on here at camp, but my focus is going to be on the thing we have coming up this December. So very soon, we have our biggest fundraiser that we do every year, the Camp ASCCA Jingle Jump. That will be December 10th. And we are definitely looking for some more jumpers or jumping teams, as well as if you just want to support. If you're not into jumping into icy cold water, you can still support someone's jump page. There's several people who are putting that information out on Facebook. It's on our website. And like I said, you can sign up to be a jumper or you can jump with other people. But basically, if you're not familiar with the Jingle Jump, it's we do it on our Christmas weekend. So there'll be campers here kind of cheering you on, and you try to raise money for at least one camper ship. So that's $800. But if you can raise more than $800, that's even better. And basically, you get to wear we encourage you to wear a costume. I've done it every year since we started doing it, and so yes, you maybe dress up like Santa or Rudolph or whatever. And you jump into the Camp ASCCA swimming pool in December. And that is not the most fun thing in the world, but it is for a great cause. It's actually our biggest fundraiser. And this year we have set our goal of raising $50,000. So again, we need your help to either participate and help raise money or donate money to somebody's team. But it's a great time. The water, I'm going to be honest with you for a second. I hate cold water more than anything in the world. Like, I don't get in that pool until it's like middle of June. So to jump in there in December is pretty tough, but it is a good time. So if I guess the way I'm putting it is, if I can do it, then you can do it. But please check that out again on our website, campascca.org. If you have any questions or again, you want to make your own team, you can also email Dana Rickman. Happens to be a very nice person. Maybe even worth marrying. Could be my wife. But anyway, email Dana at Dana, D-A-N-A, Dana at campascca.org. And she will help you put together some photos and get your team and help show you how to promote it and put it out there so you can be a jumper. But thanks everybody for listening, and thanks for supporting Camp ASCCA.
Thanks for listening to Camp ASCCA, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to you joining us next time. As always, be sure to follow us on social media at Camp ASCCA and visit our website, campascca.org, for more information about camp.